You were that close.
That's pretty close.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
wow.
Yeah, they all. Those are,
Yeah, I'm awesome.
They're projecting now.
that is all. All right, I'm gonna bring the Grand County School District Board of Education work session to order. It's Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 3:34. We are here at the district office and available via Zoom. All board members are present. Matt Keyes, Jerry Hamilton are also present. Pledge of Allegiance. Dave, will you this of the Pledge of Allegiance?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Kathy, will you read our mission statement?
Our mission is to put each student first every day.
First on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
Dave Beerscheid makes a motion, Dave Beerscheid makes a motion, Jenna Woodbury seconds. The agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That passes 5-0. Items for discussion. First on the agenda items are the personnel list. Any questions about budget ramifications, positions, open positions? If you have any questions or concerns, please direct those to Matt or Jerry. Okay.
Excuse me.
Moving on. Review of new policies previously posted for public comment. So on this section, the board will review and discuss the new policies from USDA for 2025. These policies were previously posted on the district website for public comment. We have drug testing and other employee red line, military leave, employee work information privacy, curricular firearm safety, grading packet credit, graduation focus, graduation pathway, health requirements and service mental health treatment, school meal payments, prohibited food additives, student privacy and modesty, flags on school property, and that's it. Did we get any public comment for those, Michelle? Yeah. And so, if the board feels that we're going to be posting or we're going to be approving these next week.
Next week they'll come back. There was the one one policy that we're technically exempt from because of enrollment. I don't know if the board had some thoughts about dropping that because we're not, or if you wanted to go ahead and pass it just because it's recommended. Thoughts?
That's what, yeah. Well, I guess my thought would be, is it feasible when we are a small district and we're not buying in as big a bulk, right? Like, can we get things without FDC1 flu, number one? Because
I mean, I thought there was gonna be some investigation into whether we have, or we're using this right now.
There may have been. I did not look into what we're currently using. And if we don't have to pass it, or to add that to policy, it gives us the discretion, a little more local control. Obviously, we're trying to purchase fiscally responsibly. Also, we want to meet health requirements, nutrition requirements. So I'm more than comfortable if the board decided, hey, we're going to hold off on it so that we have more local control.
Yeah.
Can we ask Sarah for an update of like if she's currently purchasing anything with these additives?
We can.
And I wonder though too, like if she isn't now, but you know, in the future, if she's not able to get, because we can't afford.
Yeah.
The things without,
Well,
you know, I think it's a goal. I do think it's a worthy goal, and maybe it will become easier, hopefully with time, if there's companies that aren't using these as much, anymore, right? They're getting phased
Yeah.
out.
And so we do I don't want to say a lot with. So, purchasing.
You care.
Is it
And then there's a local.
So we partner with an association that actually involves a lot of bigger school districts on the Wasatch Front, so we care for our purchasing. Districts that aren't going to be exempt from this,
So
so
they'll
they will
have to
be
do that.
having to. So it could naturally just take place as this
Right.
changes for them. It will change for us and make it easier for us to be in compliance with it, but right now where we're exempt, it might be safest just to let it play out, see how those purchasing groups work out going forward.
And I see this affecting breakfast more than lunch meals. Just
Because
because
there's more
it's,
processed stuff, you know, more
Yeah.
prepackaged things at breakfast.
well, cereals and,
Sure.
you know, those kind of
Right, yeah.
things that are, because usually the lunches are not processed. They're
Right.
usually
Made,
made.
scratch,
Mhm.
right.
Unless you're throwing like a Gemma or something, you know, I
Right.
don't know. I can see breakfast would be
Yeah.
the.
And we can leave it on there, get some more specific information, and then if the board chooses to act on these next week, we can leave it out at that time.
I think it's a good thing to try to get away from the
If we
offer.
can.
I don't know if you change a policy that says something to that we will make every effort. You know, or it's just leave it. I mean, we will make every effort to avoid these prohibited or avoid these food additives. I don't know if we want to change the policy, so just so it doesn't lock us in if we can't, if we don't have other options, is my thought. Either not approving it or changing it. But we can have more about it.
Any other discussion about these other?
Yes. Yeah, let's go line building. Just keep.
All right, moving on. The next one is review of policies changing certified and classified employee terminology.
So some clarification on this. Again, this is making the recommended terminology changes coming out of legislative changes. It's focusing primarily on where we use the words certified employees, which are going to be your employees that have an educator's license that are on your certified salary schedule. And then what historically has been called classified employees, which are those that do not. That terminology has been changed to education support professional, ESP. There's no substantive changes to the actual policies. It's just the terminology. Sometimes they've had both certified and classified employees listed, so it changes it to employees. Or in areas where specific to either group, it changes the terminology. These policies that are posted are the USBA model policies with those changes. We put them on there for you to look at. Some of these policies we have gone into negotiations. They're listed as negotiated policies with the GEA, and the negotiated policies aren't reflected on here. This is just something we wanted to put on and see if there was any discussion, concerns about that, and then we'll move it forward. I don't know, but the non-substantive changes like this, is this something you want posted for comment? Is it something you feel comfortable bringing back and just approving on a first reading since it's terminology change? But really what the board.
Well, I think that depends on what the differences are in the negotiated policy and the model policy are, right? Because I think we would not want to approve.
No, we're not going to approve these, but
those.
we'll bring those to you.
But if it's just we take the negotiated policy and change all the words,
All the terminology to fit that.
I don't have a problem with not posting those and
If they're not negotiable.
No, in general, like, what, do we need, do we really want to post these 10 policies just to change a terminology?
And
And I don't think so.
And on that, we are making an effort because we're a little bit behind the eight ball, if you will, with approving policy. As you know, the legislative session is picking up right now. We'll start in January. We will have a whole new list of policies, so we need to be strategic as to getting policies passed that are likely to change, and policies that maybe having or not change, excuse me, and policies that are looking to change at this new legislative session. So we're just trying to knock off the chunks to knock off the low hanging fruit. So
So the process would be, we still have to approve them.
agreed.
We just don't need to do a posting.
A posting and wait a couple of
Right.
months.
Okay,
Right.
For
okay,
these non-stuff that, and that goes into the next agenda item
Okay.
too, as far as,
like we can do it next week.
yeah, as far as the citations in the next, I can get to that in the next agenda item.
My clarification would be just making sure that we are not approving these, so, the
When they,
DHA, we're approving DHAN.
that's what it'll come, that's what it will come back.
Okay.
as. Yes. Okay. The negotiated ones will be updated and identified by that and at the end.
So, so certified is going to change that terminology. Is it still in use? Like,
It is in use, but there's, like I said, sometimes they're using it to talk about both groups. If you flip through here, you'll see where
Like the-
certified, it's changed, but certified is still the
but that's the
current
that's
term.
saying, yeah.
Classified
Yeah,
is
so-
the main
yeah,
change.
yeah.
But I saw
Or
they
all.
changed professional to certified in some of them.
Okay.
Or when they talked about certified and classified, they just took them out and said
Oh,
staff.
or yeah, so is it to be, yeah. And so if I had questions about these, it doesn't matter because my only comment should be about certified class. What
Well,
we're discussing. Because we're not discussing anything else regarding these policies.
With these specifically,
Yeah,
it's just an example of the language change.
yeah,
When we put the negotiated policies on, which we'll talk about, if you do have concerns about the policies at that time,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Let's discuss it.
Okay.
or is it a is it a code? Is it a code?
Yeah, I guess I just had a question about what it meant.
Well, you can ask that right now,
Okay.
right? But
Like for, sort of BLA, I just, number 10 in that says make recommendations for teacher dismissal within the school, which seems very vague, but then there's a whole policy about termination. Early school, there's a whole policy about termination. So I just,
And that's one example that you'll want to look at. And I can help you with that, the BLA. And because I believe it is a negotiated policy, it's gonna change some of that language.
okay, so I just look next week.
But it
BL
doesn't say N. How do we know it's negotiated? Don't we?
because these are model policies.
These are model
Oh,
policies.
You have to go on the
okay,
website.
got it.
But a principal would make a recommendation for a teacher dismissal, right?
To who? Like,
Superintendent,
Okay.
maybe, right?
And
Superintendent,
Sorry, what-
who, the principal makes a recommendation to terminate a teacher to the superintendent.
correct.
then is there language about like,
And then there's orderly termination,
okay, yeah, that whole other policy. Yeah,
And we're-
okay.
how that would work.
So that's this policy, and again, I welcome you to come visit with me. This policy is interesting because of the history of the Orderly Termination Act that used to actually be in legislation.
Yeah.
53A G, blah, blah, blah. That act has kind of been, well, it was retired, but they kept some of the language.
Okay.
So even that's an outdated term and can cause confusion if you were to like go and try and Google current Orderly Termination Act, it's not in existence. But the language is embedded in legislation and then carried over into some of the model policy. This example, like if you have questions about it, let me know and we can walk through it.
BLA is no negotiating.
It is not? Okay.
Do you have any other ones? Okay. Review policies USDA with non-substantial changes. Another case with these. There was citation, mostly citation changes.
Yes, it is. These are citation changes. Again, does the board feel like we need to post those for comment when there's a citation? Or is that something we can expedite by just having you review them and hopefully be able to approve it next week?
Yeah, the only thing I would cross-check would be any policies similar to negotiated, but any policies that we've changed so that we're not disregarding things that we've changed and put a model policy in. And I don't know if we have that list.
So,
We've changed.
just
Mhm.
as an information item, or just a topic, I guess. We are diligently working to pull all of our policy together with verified dates and have it all in one location. So that we know exactly what policy we're looking at, right or wrong or indifferent. The policy on our school district website has not been updated as frequently as it needs to be. And so Shane and I are working to put that together and have it all in one book where we can look at what is current approved policy.
And I think we talked about, like with the negotiated policies got an N. If we have changed a model policy from USPA, adding something so that it's
That
quickly.
That must have predated me. I've not heard
What?
that.
Myself as well.
Okay,
I think it's-
I'm just trying
I
to
think it's
figure
I
out
think it's a good idea. So that
how
we
to
can-
figure out what, yeah,
So that we can quickly
identify which ones.
identify that. We can add, we can add.
Maybe up here was personalized
I
I don't.
to identify, it, but I do that.
I think we had. In Taryn's little,
Well, she identified
the
them,
ones that we had.
but I,
Made some widgets, right?
sure. But you'd have to pull that, you'd have to look at her spreadsheet.
You have to look at her spreadsheet.
So we can look into
There's
that.
not a lot.
We can look into that. I've also asked the association to look at their records. They do their own
Yeah,
tracking of policies, to look at that and
Yeah.
sit at the table with us as we.
well, I know,
track things.
I'm pretty confident the Ds would be fine. It would be, our health, the Narcan, or we wouldn't, there was
Some of those minor changes.
minor changes that we've done, yeah. So, yeah, maybe adding
Shane
a letter.
and I are happy to add that to our list, like you said.
Well, I think adding the letter would also be helpful.
Adding a letter, like you say. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't have. Again, my only thing would be making sure that none of those were. I'd be fine with just approving them with no posting, except for if there's, any that are changed, personalized, Grand County personalized.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh.
Just for historical context, and I won't hold you to it, but do you have an idea of how many policies outside of negotiated policy that the board has tweaked to fit Grand County School District? Are we talking dozens?
No.
I think
think
five, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
No.
that helps me. Gives me
Yeah.
some-
Not a lot, 5, maybe.
When we were a trimester system, I remember that was, when we were
Yeah.
trimesters, we had to change that, which we're not anymore. I remember the health one.
Graduation requirements, maybe you're, like
Okay. That gives us a good starting place.
the health one. Yeah, whatever, I don't know, the one in the. All right. Next, board evaluation discussion. All right, the board took a evaluation. A week or so ago, and here are the results. I had a short conversation with Matt about it. And
bigger, so small.
So I'm hoping that you all had a chance to look at that and review it. You have a summary chart that's attached, and then you also have a question by question. A couple of things to keep in mind. The sample size is small just by the nature of who was asked to do the evaluation. The other thing to keep in mind as you go through and review and reflect on these results is you could score low in areas because of the design of the survey and maybe not knowing or being aware of something that is taking place. There might be things that you're very aware of. And so as a result, it got a low score because we're low in that area. There are other areas where maybe there's a lack of communication in what's taking place, and that can impact the scores. So really my recommendation is you go down through these, looking at them, anything that's in the 6 area, basically less than 7, let's take a look at it and see, is that something that we're not doing? Is that something that we are doing and not communicating? And then tying this back in to the board goals and the board values. I've had some side conversations with each of you, I think, and just expressed my desire going forward to create those goals and principles for the board so that we can make sure we're taking this information from our key performance indicators and actually applying it. That it's just not information here. And step 1 is sitting down and really laying the foundation for culture for the district so that then it can build through the administrative team and the teachers. This survey can give us an idea of where we might need to start on that. We also have some other ideas as far as identifying our key values and how that applies to the decisions we make here that we've talked about right now just on the periphery, whether that's another work session or maybe something like a retreat. But really, this gives you a starting point to take the time and reflect and see how you feel. If your perspective is completely opposite, then obviously we need to have some discussion on those. We haven't had a lot of time to review these. We just got them. I think I posted them on this Saturday night. And so this is something we can bring back and discuss in depth either next week or at the following work session, whatever, however the board feels. But that's kind of the starting place. Questions about any of that?
How can we prepare for a retreat or put that on the calendar or?
No, we haven't talked. It's
I mean,
just,
I know.
it's just a conceptual idea to
I
get
know,
it on the
but
calendar.
how can we make that a reality?
Just in scheduling, we can, at the board's discretion, determine a time to take a work session retreat. And maybe spend the day talking this stuff over.
yeah, I think the drilling down on some of these, and I keep asking Matt this question of just like how do we as a board fit into HRS, you know, and what actions can we do? So, and that comes back to some of the lower scores we got, like communicates with community using forum, improves media and other vehicles at the schools and district procedures. You know, I think that is that main thing of HRS right now. And so how do we communicate that? How do we get our message out? And so I think that is a retreat kind of thing to kind of brainstorm and going, what are our communications, our goal, transparency is our goal, you know, and looking at this and going.
And really identifying that. And the analogy or comparison that I've been using is when we're looking at a board identifying their goals, it's really easy to check on the financial side. right? You say your goal is X, but you're spending your money on Y. So is it really your goal? Are we aligned? That's a really tangible thing we can look at. When we talk about our goals and some of the areas like Melissa just covered here, we set those goals and then hold ourselves accountable by saying, how does our decision to do this circle back through? The board can hold it up, you know, we're making it. Communication is a top priority. It's one of our values. We have open and honest communication. And then circling back and saying, okay, how does this decision fit in with that? Is this really in line with our goals or no? And kind of holding the board accountable to the intangible efforts.
And I would also like to identify specific goals of just like, if that is, you know, and I think you brought this up to me of like, do you want me to hold a forum? You said, you know,
Mhm.
do you want, and that would be us, right? Or, you know, do we want to do a community newsletter? Do we want to do a staff newsletter? Like, what specific things that we can do to
To help.
measure, to hold ourselves accountable, so.
And like, I think the example I used with you is I used to do what matters most meetings. You just have basically similar to a town hall meeting with current topics in education and express using the superintendent as a mouthpiece, just express where the board is going and what they're doing and have question and answer. And that's one way to pick up on that communication.
I mean, have sort of like a public.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's exactly what the board wants to do, but that's an example of how you can better. And then we can also have better internal communication. We've talked about, you know, an email going out on Friday that's just like, what's up? So remember, we got a site visit Monday. Remember, we have this going on here. There's something going on in the community that impacts us. Remember that the audit committee's meeting, just a consistent to help you guys, because you all have jobs and lives
Yeah.
outside of this, and just keep it fresh on your mind what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just communication trees, whether it be me communicating through the board president and how that gets out, and making sure that we're giving each board member the opportunity. So, for an example, if something takes place, you get a text message and it doesn't make sense, call me. Call me anytime. We'll walk through it. You don't have to wait till board meeting. I mean, just things like that. Going forward.
The other thing that I mean, this is personally what I saw on when I took it is the strategic plan. And I've always struggled with it, like, what is it and what is
We
our
don't have one.
strategic plan? I don't know. And so I think that is I need help understanding, if we do have one, I need help understanding what it is. And so maybe that's another retreat thing of like, what it is.
Yeah.
And if we have one of those, if that's just goals.
So
maybe-
right now, and we talked about this is another communication piece. We talked about looking at San Juan's school district's board agenda, and they always have a 5-minute update on their request, which is basically their strategic plan. And it's something that I plan to bring to next board meeting. And right now, our strategic plan is heavily governed by HRS. In our meeting yesterday, our rater asked, you know, are we doing this for certification or are we doing this for strategic plan? And my answer was both. But we're doing it to do both. So the first step is that safe and collaborative culture, which we're hammering on. Culture just keeps coming back. And that's currently the direction.
But in my mind, is plan the right word? Because for me, I would be like, if there's a strategic plan, it should be written down.
Somewhere you can look at it.
You know, it's a plan, but maybe that's why I get hung up on that word. Is that,
I think it's
and so I need help absorbing that somehow, or like getting a definition and
I think it's
seeing
totally possible.
in an educational, in education, what does that mean?
I think we can incorporate our HRS strategic plan into that, and it would be more of a living document. It's updated and changed, and as we stop and reflect, going back to putting it on paper, if that necessarily helps. Something like that too.
Is it like the portrait of the graduate? Is that a strategic plan?
Yes,
Okay.
It's sort of like your goal of where you want to be.
correct.
And so however many, your time frame, 5 years. I mean, I see it as HRS is sort of our strategic plan that is being implemented by staff, admin staff. We have goals to improve reading scores, math scores. Those are all under our ultimate, our upper goal is to improve academic outcomes. And so we want to improve math scores by this percent. We want to improve reading scores, which we discussed, and each of the schools have made their goals. So that's part of our strategic plan. So you have improve academic outcome and, A, B, C. And this is how we're going to do it. And are we achieving those? So you want them to be concrete so that you can measure them. And then I suppose in your strategic plan, what do we want to build up programs? Do we want to have, foreign language in elementary schools? Do we want to increase our music program? Do we want to, that would be, I think, the strategy, right? Like, where are we going? What's important to us? I would see that. But I do think HRS is also, you're kind of starting with, we have got to, like, the first goal is improving culture, because everything builds on that. So, you've got to start kind of at the base, you improve your culture, which then helps you reach your other goals of academic. So that's sort of what I see, but we haven't really written it on paper. I view HRS as kind of a strategic plan. So, and improved academic outcomes is what we want to do. That's our, So right now we don't have any fiscally, well, I think, we have ideas of strategic plan can include facilities,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So, we've got that.
So maybe the two on a retreat, those would be their two main goals, right? Would be really delving into that strategic plan, and then also, what are we doing? Now I can't remember.
Communication. Is that
Look at KPI or, yeah,
evaluation?
evaluation and looking at those a little bit.
I mean, and looking at these, right? Yes.
And where the board fits on that culture piece is you lay the foundation. Right? And so identifying 4 to 5 principles, values, out of what the terminology is, but that lays the foundation for your culture. And then how do we get there? And we do have it written down. It's on my whiteboard.
It is.
Sorry.
Is it right next to the other thing that was what's McCullough?
I guess what so,
Sorry. So,
I know I think to keep the board hands off and micromanaging, you need to give our board, or at least me, like to-dos, right? Of like, yeah, we're setting a culture, we're setting this up, but what does that mean? So does that mean I need to contact, make a meeting with the mayor and talk to them every board, or, or I need to do, I need stuff to do. So it's not just so that
So you're proactive.
proactively doing it and not just preaching like teachers need to communicate more with parents. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I need to communicate more with parents and our community and our books. So that's where I see
Strategic plans.
Yeah.
Board responsibilities.
and goals.
And goals.
Goals.
Boards and goals.
I'm gonna come to this board meeting
Yeah.
even prepared where I've read,
Right.
and on time and
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and it ties back to your board handbook.
Right. Reading a board handbook. But I think the goals will be, I'd like to make sure that I'm walking the walk as much as we can. And I know I just talked to Lily about this, but again, one of our main things that always comes up about with teachers is come into our classrooms more and see what we're doing and making sure that we're doing that without it being like we're board members, but we're there to. I mean, we are there as board members, but to see what's going on and not just we're not evaluating, we're not critiquing, we're just seeing, oh yeah, this is really hard.
I've been visiting a lot, but I've been presenting it as a new board member.
Yeah.
Without educational background. So,
Yeah. So that's another goal. Okay. Any other ones that
So
you?
just, I know you're busy, but if you have time, flip through those pages.
Yeah.
The individual questions. And if there are things that you're concerned about, you could shoot me an email so that I can be prepared to talk about them next board meeting.
I wouldn't mind next board meeting setting up a retreat for whatever
Okay.
whatever that means.
Just-
Looking at calendars. So maybe a winter retreat if people are in town,
Winter solstice retreat.
Yeah.
that would.
I mean, we'll be in Salt Lake then. So, no, after I just did 9.
8, 9, 10, 30, 7, 8, 9.
As long as we're not making it.
8, 9, 10.
It's just a retreat. I mean, you have to list it that you're doing that, but I don't. We're already captive, we're all captive audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, looking at these numbers, the no opinion does really hurt the score, which I don't think it's,
Right.
it's more of you don't know. That's a more of I don't know. Could still be mean but if you don't know, then something needs to be communicated better. So, I think it helps also new board members ask the question of like, hey, do we have this or what's going on? Anything else you guys want to bring up? Yeah, so like the board annually reviews and adjusts its strategic plan to reflect needed improvements. I don't even know that I don't think we've ever
Yeah, that's right.
reviewed it or adjusted, and maybe it is those goals.
That's what I feel, that's sort of how I think of it, but we sort of set these goals and then, but we don't implement them. They're being implemented by the staff.
Yeah.
So we review them, which I guess you could say, when we're presented with information, it's a review, or we're presented information to the board. That's sort of how I interpret it, is how we do things. But it's not a big brand.
I think that's, as far as following up on that and saying that not implementing that, you should expect your superintendent to be that communication piece. That whether it's a superintendent report or an email, this was our goal. This is what we're doing to get there. This is where we're struggling. Here's where we're making adjustments, strategic plan. And I don't know if that was in place prior or not, but it's something that might be favorable for the board.
Okay.
Question about the next one, the which was solid.
Best reports.
Yes.
Okay. Is best reports.
When we were completing that, first module, whatever it's called, the course, the MB1,
do we need to submit, and I asked you this before, I just don't remember what you said. We just complete it online and then they are now aware that we've completed it. I don't have the, other than filling out that chart that you have on the doc.
Mhm.
Other than that, we don't need to report, hey, I'm done with.
You
this.
do need to report besides so what my responsibility
Yeah.
is that I know that you have completed the open meetings law and the community council, whatever that's called on there. So those two,
Are
but
those in part
That's
of
part
the
of-
USBA or is that?
yeah, those are on there.
That first month.
On that first module, and then, but I can also just look on the spreadsheet and you could fill it out that you did it there. And you did
Yeah,
do that.
I'm done with that.
It's Kathy, Dave did it June, so there,
I'm done.
so you need
Yeah,
to,
you go in there. I think that-
and tell me, make sure you do it, and then your open meetings and.
I'm pretty sure I've done, I know I did open meetings.
Is that the one that's yearly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you log into master boards, because I thought I did it, but recently, but I didn't. And so I just did it.
I may have done it though, not on master boards, because open meeting, you can do it through that other avenue. Right?
Yeah,
And fill out and
That's
have a
what it is.
certificate.
print something out, send it to me.
Yeah.
But it goes, I mean, I feel like I've done it numerous times every year.
I may not have done it.
Yeah, so community council, you did you finish master boards then?
Yes.
And you finished master boards? Have you
There's
finished
other
master
things.
I think I'm trying to get in, but I did a whole bunch of it.
boards? Power up, right?
Well, it's under, it's no longer called Power Up, but the link will say it, but it's that Rockstar, it's this.
Oh, Rockstar.
It's the login, it looks like.
I know they sent us an email.
Right.
And our community council is fine with that.
No. Well, no,
No.
But
you-
Yes, they are.
They are, okay,
Technically, by the school committee council rules, they have to be elected.
okay, yeah, that's what I did.
People vote
Oh,
at the beginning yes. of every year
Okay.
in the council.
Okay.
Who's
I
there,
guess they
they
are.
choose a chair and a co-chair.
there's never so many that you have an election.
Yeah, but there's never that we go to the public and say we need
Got it, okay.
somebody to,
Yeah.
it's just like voted in because we're desperate.
Yes.
Please do this.
I had a question when I did it.
Oh, I did see, yeah, I did it, says I'm completed. Did that, and did that.
Yeah,
So they,
so can you click on that? Does it show you when you've done it? Or does it start you over?
oh, wait. Let's see. 100% complete.
Go back to. Go to.
Yeah.
Your school. That one.
What is
Oh,
Oh, yeah, complete, I must have done
click on
that.
that. You could have like a.
Right, my answers, right?
Everybody knows what is the first.
Oh, that's
So
just
these are the
the-
quiz, but it said I completed it, so I guess I can take it again.
No, you don't have, no, don't take
But
it
I don't know
again.
how I can, other than it said I did.
No, don't take it again. That's, I did, they just know that you did it.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not good with.
that one.
You're all, but that's all
This
completed,
one,
right?
Yeah. Of
So you're
these things I've completed, but what I haven't done.
Oh, looks
I
like you
did,
did
I
all.
guess I did. So I guess I'm done with number one, module one, right? 100%. That's a state to show up. Okay.
It doesn't have, just,
But I did these this year, so let's.
you did do those this year?
I did, I know I did this.
Okay, it wasn't last year. You didn't get a certificate. And I can't remember what they said about, do you just keep doing module one?
Right, I could do
Or-
it again, but I don't have to.
No.
All about that.
Okay.
So we're supposed to have done it first year.
You
Year one.
probably did it in
I've
June.
done level one, all of them,
Yeah.
I completed.
Yeah.
I just didn't know.
And then you just refresh level 2, level 3, level 4. For the first, and then
Just keep
if
going.
you feel so inclined, you
Yeah,
circle back.
yeah, I just thought I finished something, so I felt free.
I guess my question is, after you finish level one, they don't really indicate that you've it says complete, and then it stays complete
Tell,
until it just stays complete.
I'm not sure how long it stays.
But you have to
I
click
know
on
that
it.
last year, I think we talked about it. there's not a substantial amount of change between 1 and 4. So
Yeah.
I sat down and did them all. And have to.
You did level 4, you're already at level 4. Of course you are.
I was gonna say.
Didn't hear what she said, but I'm gonna say.
Read my language. Over to whatever.
Over to whatever. Never sleeps.
I don't catch up on reading.
And then what else are we supposed to be doing that we needed to do, right?
So if you look up here, I just have it pulled up, so I'll show it to you. I did, I just pulled it. That whole,
Dave, you might have considered the meetings through the state side.
Well,
that's all right, Bernie.
See, it's weird because I already did the community council training, but
Well, that happened to me.
I didn't do the school community council video training.
You almost have to watch that.
I
to
watched
answer the
that
question.
video again today, and then, but this is the,
well, no, I
this is
completed
the
everything.
test.
Is there some other site we're supposed to?
Weird.
Did you do something?
I didn't do the test today, but
I just know that when I was cranking mine out,
yeah,
it, something weird happened and it didn't show that I had done any of them. I think I texted you, and then I messaged the people, the help,
Yeah.
the lady,
Can't remember
and she didn't get back to me, but the next day it was all finished. So, cause I said, I know I've completed all these, and it just said, not completed, not completed.
That happened to me, like I did it in
Yeah.
the summer and it was all gone.
well, I don't know when
So
it
did it come
resets.
back
See, it
after?
resets.
I saw it on history that I did it, but it didn't.
Oh, there's history.
Oh,
There's
but
a-
I messaged her and then, I don't know if that made a difference or just reappeared.
Okay.
Hmm. Look, right, if you're in the top right corner under your name, there's history and it shows when you've done it.
Oh,
Look at there.
look at this though. No, because it just said open meeting law training completed 11/12. That's like right now.
That's today. That's the
If you clicked on it, did you click on it? Maybe it's a show that you didn't.
So I've done all of these today at 6:17 PM. I don't know. This is my history. I don't, maybe it's because I clicked, like you said, I just clicked on
That's
it.
your history, that's not.
But it says,
completed.
That was a busy
oh,
6:20.
past
You guys-
zero.
you guys think I'm-
Past zero. I didn't.
So Dave, you were asked.
She did it all today.
Yeah,
What do you know?
well, I did the master board one.
Dave, is this the thing? Dave, is this what you were looking for?
I have no idea.
This thing? What we're required to do?
Oh, well, no, I think I filled that out, or I did put some things in there.
It just tells you what, like which ones we have to do and.
Yeah, but there was some other site that we.
Yeah, there's other, if you click on the references.
Probably clicked on some of those. So,
Today.
yeah, and that,
I mean,
and
it
reset
I
it.
just can't figure it out. It Started at 10 o'clock and I.
That's why I looked at it.
But these are the ones I knew, because I knew I had done it. So community council training, school finance training. Oh, yeah. So this is, I had already
You
done
did,
it. Yeah.
The next day.
Okay,
I must-
and then you,
right?
and then,
Yeah, so I.
all right, you're good, you're good. So if you just put in that spreadsheet, so these are the dates for me.
I will find that.
There's a whole bunch of it.
Is it under board, right?
In our board references, handbooks and references.
Yeah, she said it was not. It's this.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes, there's all.
And it only goes back to 2024. Okay. Any other questions about master board?
Yeah.
Yes,
like this award, like. When I did that master board, it said choose 3, so I chose 3 and they,
yeah,
but then it said partially correct, I didn't choose the right one.
I did that too. I
But and
thought
it was like
too.
your choice.
And I was, I know, and I was like, I agree. I wondered what, how we could be wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. I agree. I saw that.
And you, does someone grade these and look and see that?
you won't get your.
Oh, no.
Like that you're most interested in. And
Right,
then
that
it's
right?
like partially
Yeah,
correct,
I-
like they're not, you're not choosing the one thing.
Whatever the thing that we were at. Hey, that's the most.
Well, that's what I did, I guess what I did.
I don't know. They kept saying, I just did all of them.
Yeah.
No, no, so.
Yeah.
Right, see, I tried to.
So I'm sure you'll still get a certificate.
Yeah, better.
So I'm more worried about those two trainings,
The other ones that we have to do that's not really.
to meetings and community council,
But
That's
that
all.
was in master boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what, are there other ones that weren't in master boards?
Yeah.
The ones that I said, if you click on
References.
references, there's. other
Yep.
ones, yeah. That's actually a hyperlink. I didn't realize.
That's in like board.
It's underneath that chat, that talks, that.
Board, what do we call it?
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
Right along.
You can find it, it's in the drive, I'm shared.
Okay, the D4.
Yeah, that was.
All right, next, principal reports discussion. So board will discuss Grand County School District principal report specifically purpose, frequent, content, format.
Okay, so you guys have the principals in the room here. Copy now, but I don't know if I'm gonna talk to her.
I'm gonna talk louder now.
Yeah.
I got ear. Louder?
Give him a head.
Talk louder?
Yeah.
Oh, that's project, Matt.
Okay, so since I have been with Grand County School District, it seems like we've talked about principal reports and presentations, almost every month, off and on, tweaking it, changing it, being unhappy with what's been, not unhappy, but needing more about what's been presented. So what I have here is just a board discussion sheet, to kind of foster some discussion right now on what it is and how we want to do principal reports going forward, and hopefully have some consistency there. And really, this just is a discussion piece. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner, there's a graphic: plan, do, check, act. It's just, I mean, that's a continuous improvement graphic that is used a lot. But my recommendation would be that, with our principal reports, they are submitting a report every month, just in paper, keeping you guys informed, and then actually presenting and going into a little more in depth once a quarter. Kind of like we were just talking about earlier with the board and things of that nature. We want this format to be, okay, here's our goals, here's our challenges, here's what we're doing about those goals, and here's how we're going to adapt, and then coming back, 3 months later and reporting on what took place. It's not uncommon, but for boards to want information, but also not understand what happens after they get that information, right? We can inundate you with testing scores and achievement and, any report that you ask for. But what does the board choose to do with that information, and how does that help them? So really trying to narrow down as a group, you getting the information that you want,
The good.
and the purpose behind it, and the actions that are going to take place because of it. So if you read down through that, questions, this is a discussion. This is a discussion sheet. And if you have specific questions for the administrators in the room, I encourage you to let's have that conversation and going forward. The last thing is on the bottom. There's a couple of examples. I don't know that I'm dead set on having an exactly the same format with the exact same platform. I think administrators are pretty proficient in the tools that they use, but just having some continuity in the report.
I wanted to say, just like thanking the admin ahead of time, because I know with my teaching background, I think as you guys present, I understand a lot of it, but I think doing this is going to be extremely helpful for us, as far as keeping everything succinct and understanding what's happening. So, yeah, I think it's great.
And Jill, I really appreciated the email with all the different texting going on and what's going on where. I Card, I did happen to get, a few weeks ago, from a teacher at the high school, like a performance comparison with the Aspire Plus, scores and how they related, or how they compared to the, Utah overall, like the state averages, or the state. So, I guess, like, that's the kind of data I would like to see for the board. And also maybe with ACT scores.
You got it for your individual students.
No, of 9th to 10th grade reading science. Math.
You got that from the teacher?
I did. Yeah, and I mean, I found the 10th grade math results pretty alarming, and that's also, I'd like to see. And I remember,
Yeah, that was presented in the board last week. That is,
from this,
yeah, the
The-
information that you got from the teacher, that was presented to the board last
when they took it. Well,
week. Maybe it is this fall. That was presented to the board, the data from the
okay,
testing results, not the growth data, just the raw data. So are you saying you got the growth data as well?
no, just how,
Yeah.
like, yeah, the Utah Aspire Plus.
I know,
So-
the
so-
last 10 results were.
So
I don't remember that.
you showed me that, and I don't remember it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Okay,
But that being said, that's the specific kind of thing that this conversation should generate is,
okay,
this is an example of the data we want as a board.
Correct.
And so the comparison that Jenna had, I don't know if you see, it's just a couple of tables, and it just goes, it's really broken down, simple. It's just showing the growth, that's the plot charts and some graphs. But that's the kind of thing that you would embed in your principal report, just as an information on the monthly, and then when you present to the board on the quarter, you would have the opportunity to go into that. Is that what you're thinking, Jenna?
yeah, I mean, and I guess I want some, okay,
Yeah, I think, my question would be to the board is, if in those principal reports you want, I know quarterly we'll get. So with talking to Matt, there, the plan, what's the plan, act, check, do? Kind of, it's a cycle, right? And so do we want to do those on a monthly cycle of like, here's the plan, and then the next month we see the act, the next is the check, and then they've done it, and then we start over like a quarterly, like in reports? Or do you want to keep it, the plan, act, do all on that same report?
I was thinking you could put it on the same report.
Shay, will you pull up, she's not here.
I just want to get up.
We can pick on it, it's the one that says high bump
And
on
sometimes
the examples
we
then.
get
Scroll
the
down.
same data every month. And I'd rather,
The first
I would
one?
like to focus on
To do.
what are you doing,
Right,
right?
right.
Or like, we had a data last month. Now, what are we doing? Instead of like, here's the 4 things.
So
And
here,
we don't, we
Right,
can't
right.
focus on them. Or we could just, we can present, and then I keep us focused on.
this is an example of, and she's not here, so we can pick on our college principal report from last month. I really like the layout, it's appealing to me, that doesn't mean it's appealing to everyone else, but you can kind of see, right there, we have the goal, what's going on, and then next to it, we have, hey, this is where we're at right now, a snapshot. The monthly would be a snapshot of where we're at, similar to this, and then the administrator would have the opportunity 4 times a year to present on this information and more in depth and share what's working and what's not. The other question I have for the board, I've seen it done a couple of ways, but with these quarterly reports, you could basically, start in August, and here's our data from last year, here's our goals, and here's what we're gonna do, these are the challenges we think we're gonna have. And then come November, be presenting on the past 90 days and what took place. Kind of more like a 90-day plan. If I don't know if Grand School District has ever used that, but more like a 90-day plan to just check on and see what's working. We've reevaluated. Here's what we're planning to do for the next 90 days. And then boom, you're back in March, updating what we've done, what's worked, what hasn't, how we're going. And then at the end of year presentation is you kind of say, hey, this is the progress we made. Here's the things that went well. Here are things that didn't go well.
And I think we're getting annual data. I think we've lacked that quarterly data, but what you said, so like what that means at secondary level is, what that, they need to figure that out. But they figured it out at elementary level, it's Dibbles, it's Cadians, it's those things, but secondary, we haven't figured out what those quarterly data and those checkpoints are. And so I think that the board is struggling because we don't know where we are until.
Well, have we even decided we have recently decided what tools we're gonna use, right? Like for a while, we didn't have the tools. We didn't know what tests we were gonna use.
It's been a year, yeah.
And so we do have some data, like at middle school, we are starting to get some data. You've got the beginning of year data, but that's all we have right now, right?
That's
In some
enough.
platforms, yeah.
It was literature and,
Do we have a math quarterly data?
We do not.
Okay.
but so far we've just had beginning of year, and then we will expect to get middle of year.
Right,
So some of these things we can't do monthly because there's no monthly data, but.
depending on the site, yeah. Like
Well, we
HFK will have.
HFK will have lots of monthly data, but at upper levels, you're not
Correct.
But we can take a snapshot of where we're at, and it might not vary, because we don't have it, but just taking that snapshot so that you have that to review, if you're at your regular board meeting or the work session, and then really have the more in-depth.
So if I'm on the same page, so even though the data, you're not getting that monthly data like HMK, but they could still go through the other steps
Yeah.
each time, still tell us what to do, what that, right? Is that what we're saying? We can still get feedback from the admin, what's happening based off of that data that might have taken place 3 months ago.
This is working, this isn't.
Right, still getting that getting information.
And we're not deciding, but it would be a growing process. But I do want to start having some continuity so that it's just over the last, like I said, couple of years, principal reports have come and gone. And sometimes I think the board wants data, but they don't even know what data they want.
correct.
And maybe an administrator sharing data, thinking the board wants it, but it's not really valuable to them. So making sure that we're identifying those data pieces, like if it's the comparison that Jenna talked about. And just making sure you're getting the data you want and it's purposeful for you.
And what's happening.
So I'll go back to years and years ago, Steve Wren, he would quarterly, he presented grades, and it was data. It was showing, it'd show how many A's, B, and who would, he delved down, it was quite interesting. But then we stopped right there, right? And it was never like, well, what are you doing to get those kids up? Like,
Right.
So
It was more that like, this is where we are.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? to
but
get
what
better?
are we doing? But I think, if we're not, if we're struggling in, like, say there,
10th grade math.
if there isn't a math in middle school, quarterly, maybe it is grades, maybe there's gotta be that they're how many kids are failing, or, like, what does that look like? Just give us some kind of idea of like, are we doing better than we have been? Are we what are our math goals? Are we meeting them? What are we doing to push that? And I don't know what that is. That's on you guys to dumb it down for us of like what that means, but I think it's important for us to see that data, and then here's here's what we're doing. And not just like, we're kind of, our goal is to get it up to 60%. Cool, going, okay, but how, you know?
And this is, I think, this outlines that.
Yeah,
This
it does.
this is excellent in that, okay, so now give us the information that we want, the progress.
But if there isn't a test, or if there isn't, you know, something like Common Lit for math, then I still think we need some sort of data.
My request would almost be to look at it, but you like, okay, what's the middle school report look like? What does the high school report look like? What does H&K report look like? Because it's gonna look different at each site.
Yeah, sure.
Like, yes, high school and middle school are both using Common Lit, but we also have different assessments that we're using and stuff like that. So what do you expect out of the middle school? What do you expect out of the high school? I think would be really helpful instead of just, this is the principal report, this is what we expect. So I think that would really help us.
Well, so the other thing that's been happening at the high school is because the push has been so much for what data that we have, I put it back to the teachers. So what data have you identified you're using to inform your instruction? And Melissa, you're 100% right. That now they've identified data, so we're in that cycle of like, what are you gonna do, right? But the next question for me to them is, and how is this informing your instruction, right? So they have data and it's great, right? Like CTE is using all the 21st century skills and going, we're now tracking citizenship in this way. And so that's the data that we want to present, right? But how is this informing your instruction? How is this getting them closer to getting that skill set for passing the skill test in, you know, like CAD 1? So those are the cycle of the data. It's not going to look like the elementary data where we can go, these people are reading at this level. So if we do X, Y, Z and we have these breakout groups, this is what's going to happen. It just is going to have a different application plan. But part of it starts with the buy-in from the teachers of what data are you using, you know? And so it's just a conversational shift because the teachers are not coming from that place of what data am I using to inform my instruction? You know, and
But they're not using data to inform their instruction, and they have.
Yes, they have, you know, their assignments, and that's like the feeling great thing. That was always the kind of the thing between Steve and I is like, so what are you doing? Like, what are we're showing them the failing grades. What's our next step? You know, do we go back to teachers and say, do we have common formative assessments, which, you know, is really hard when everybody's a singleton, you know? Do we have common elements that we want every ninth grader to have this skill set in English language arts, this skill set in math? And then the data that we can look at is, how many of the ninth graders obtained this skill set in language arts by, you know, didn't have it at the beginning of ninth grade and had it by the end, right? But that is a collaborative process that we have to work on together. And so that part of that is identifying those strategic goals. Is that what the board wants? Is this what a portrait of a graduate looks like? And are these the skill sets that a 9 through 12 grader is going to have? And then is that how we want to focus our data? You know, go ahead. I guess, I don't know, sorry.
Yeah,
I think what could be helpful, and to use some language, is potentially identifying even as singletons for standards, not skill sets. Standards, just for within the quarter. Having a formative assessment that a teacher could say, this percentage of my students are able to master this standard, not skill, the skills across the board. And you could choose the essential standards that most correlate to the Aspire Plus ending, right? Like these are the standards that indicate the most, the best outcomes for the summative assessments that come later. And so, and everybody would have those standards, regardless if they're singleton or not, and everybody should be able to measure at least 4 to 6 standards based on a student's.
And all teachers are teaching to those 4 standards.
Should they agree though on those standards,
Those
right?
are-
They should all agree.
Those are state standards.
Well, okay,
But
so
like with language
which ones
arts,
they're gonna choose to focus on,
Yeah, why not?
right? And so we would all maybe choose the same.
Especially if they're
Well,
singletons. right? Yeah.
A singleton teacher.
I'm not
might be
the only ninth
there's only
grade
one
English
high
teacher,
school,
right? So then I report ninth grade English standards and
No.
I report on those because I think that those are really integral, essential standards for the end outcome.
Especially if it's, yeah, I mean, because that's should be your standards guide instruction. Right?
And those are like not choosing, those are,
That's
that's like our job.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what they guide instruction, so everyone has those standards, so they have to.
And it wouldn't be a negotiation of what to choose on account that like a buy-in is that like they should be just doing that.
Absolutely.
And
So
Yeah.
the data will be different. The amount of data will be different. The format and the cycle will be the same for all three schools.
Right.
Right? And if we're looking for data, we should have, if we're doing things appropriately, we should have data coming out of our PLC groups that we can use to measure and hold ourselves accountable. Data that going through the PLC cycle and just reporting that to the board covers a lot of what the board is asking, and it's in relatively real time. So that's a conversation that I can have with the administrators. We have an admin meeting coming up next week. In between now and then, if the board has ideas of what they want as far as data, you might not know how we capture it. That's something that we can discuss as an administrative team to see what we can provide. But and that it's going to be a changing process as things go. But having this consistent format, I think is our first step.
yeah, the format is the same. The test underneath the format is different, and I think we're aware of that they're not devils ever up, but it's common lit on this. I mean, we don't care what the data is, and we just care that it's there, right?
Or what tool it is.
And I think we're lacking that we lack that presentation of
To sum it up,
the cycle of what we want.
to sum it up on a very basic level, the board wants the data, and then they want to know what we're doing as a result of that.
Yeah, those action
Yeah.
items, next
Yeah.
steps.
So, and it's all outlined in that discussion sheet.
And one more thing that's not added on here, but your administrator here, and I think you might have changed the name of this, but the historical, so if it's attendance on here, you have October 1 is you can show attendance October 1 throughout as
So
the
what we're asking
past,
is-
you mean?
they're asking for is just a historical comparison. So here's attendance in 25. Here's what our attendance percentage was in 24, and then same with, whether it's your performance. Just
here's your
giving-
ACT
just-
scores.
How many years?
I think just a couple, 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Would be good, just to give us that historical knowledge, throw that in a quick chart, so that we can see what direction we're going. Hopefully it's going up, right? And
That's
that's,
ultimately what we want, right? Like performance improvement, improve student performance.
yes. And I'll share some examples and formats, in admin meeting concerning that, but
And I think once we find, I think if we will have some more confidence in our, in superintendent and making sure that these things, that principals are held accountable in some of these avenues, we won't need to see as much something. So it just feels like we've never really gotten to what we've asked. And
right.
so, we're just status quo of like, we haven't made those increases. We lost. We haven't achieved our goals.
Correct.
We haven't gotten better.
And speaking from a teacher, what, I think it's, sometimes it's a lot, okay, you're giving me one more thing, it's a teacher to do. But in the end, it's like, well, I don't know, I feel like it helps teachers get more organized with what they're doing and, I don't know, accountable.
Yeah, same like maybe
The
a
purpose
exactly.
too, right?
Sometimes when people ask more of you, it's amazing, you do more. Right? It's like, I don't know.
But sometimes not doing more, it helps you be more organized so
Yeah.
that you're actually working smarter, not harder.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the English teachers and the math teachers are doing this. It's just now
Articulating it
not
and
important.
getting it, yeah.
it needs to be communicated.
Yeah.
To the board.
Right.
And don't overlook the role of PLCs in this. Like I said, that if we're using that to guide instruction based off of data, we should be able to share that with the board and where we're going.
So on this side note, are we gonna get common lit be beginning of year, Boyd, from high school, next report?
Yes.
Okay. Any other things on here?
Yeah, I just want, yeah, like this.
Yeah. That's our goal, is to make sure that there's an action. And then there's an action, and then after, and then just because, you know, we have increased interventions. Is it interventions, like educator interventions? We're doing interventions 3 times a week, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, is that working? You know, that's the next step after that. Like, okay, is that action actually working? We had, you know, last year we had TELS. Did that action help our scores? You know, I think that's the thing that we need to hear about, and that helps us with our priorities, you know, like, okay,
Are we gonna do that some more?
this is
Right.
working.
So we'll.
Maybe let's change it. What do you guys, you know, admin,
Right.
what's financially, what do you need? Do we need to cut something else to get this here, or, you know?
In the schedule, what needs to be changed?
Exactly.
I think
We have a lot of things that we can change,
we can do.
but we have to know if those actions are working, because I feel like sometimes we just do actions to say we made some changes, and then, yeah, we don't really.
I think Ben did a good job here. I mean, if you use this as your guide,
Mhm.
it's gonna, you know, even if your data hasn't changed a whole lot, you still have your action items and your next
Yeah.
steps.
And
This is
it's
not working.
okay, right? So even if the data isn't where we wanted it to be, then we say, okay, we're going to.
Let's redo our action
Right.
step or redo, yeah.
Okay.
That gets it.
Very good to cross.
I just want to point out, since
Yeah.
our board reports next week are gonna be chaotic,
So let's talk about invitation really quick. Moving in this direction next week, I don't want you to throw everything out. We'll start this going into December, but next week, try to get as close as you can.
so what you just said.
Perfect.
Just
Overachiever.
like, I haven't started mine yet. I'll get to this, but I can wait, since we haven't had this discussion yet, and they're doing Friday.
But I still feel like
They're
this is
gonna
where we
look
were
like they
headed.
did
We just
last
never
month.
got, I mean, this shouldn't sound new to you.
It doesn't, I'm
like,
just gonna
that's
say,
the
we just
thing.
haven't sat down to have this discussion.
It doesn't, and it might not be like perfect, but it should, we're just trying to tweak it. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
it's
just not gonna be
the
perfect next
report,
week.
the data, we've been asking for data, we've been asking for these reports. What we're asking now is, and we've even talked about goals and actions and, you know, all that. We're asking for the next step of like, okay, now what? Like, and then we start over. It's kind of helping just get in that cycle.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
And it helps us ask the right questions and, you know,
Yep.
spread communication in general.
resources,
Just
right
like
resources to
resources.
response. Point of distribution, MOU.
Okay, this is an MOU between Grant County and Grant County School District to use facilities in an emergency as a point of distribution. As you may or may not be aware, we're already working, have an MOU with the Red Cross, and for emergency uses of our buildings and facilities. This is something that I recommend, we sign off on, and yeah, it's there for your review. Questions or concerns about any of it?
Well, are you gonna fill in the numbers
Yes,
and the names? How many years are you thinking? Under duration?
I. It's a good question. You caught me off guard. I wouldn't go more than 5.
Yeah.
Um,
that's what I was thinking.
I think, you know, standard could be 10. I go back and look at it, but
Okay. That's
So
what I
we've
was
never had
thinking.
one of these before.
Are you the point of contact?
yes.
Did you create this?
No.
Who came to us with this?
Kate Finley from the County
Okay.
Emergency Services.
And, what kind of situation would it be of like when we were gonna house fire, people
It could be just in response to any
Any
emergency.
But pretty much you do it anyway.
It's all part of the
I'll be
process
honest.
that we're kind of doing with clinical safety to try and firm up interlocal agreements, interlocal relationships.
I think
It's pretty boilerplate.
Yeah.
Um,
that's fine.
This is for like, obviously like big things, like if we were in hurricane territory, it'd be like hurricane, natural disasters,
and this will be back.
tourism, whatever.
Mhm.
This will be back on the agenda for an action item next week with the numbers and information filled out. So just a chance to get this in front of you. If you have any major concerns, again, it's pretty boilerplate.
Next is school safety update. No. Municipal Sheriff's Office School Security Chief is Joshua Staples.
What does
And
that mean? What's the
No,
school
no.
security chief?
School security chief for, it's the county sheriff's department, school, security chief was a position created in House Bill 84 to help us.
It was Micah before.
implement this. It was Mike,
Okay.
it is now changed to
Okay.
Josh. In the interest of full and accurate information, last year with in-house, the district did not get off to a really strong, clean approach to some of the changes with House Bill 84 and then, or was it House Bill 40? We had some problems in our own house. The sheriff's office encountered similar problems, similar difficulties. So this is, while it can come across as a negative, it's a positive. It gives us a chance to reset and get a good start on implementing House Bill 84 and all the safety. Last year, Superintendent McFalls was the school safety director. This year, we have given that to Libby. And
Does she know?
No, I did. I was hoping you would call me. I actually
Elizabeth.
I asked him to call me.
Hmm.
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
this is school safety director Libby Bailey.
Just Bailey.
Bailey.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bailey. That's what since I'm hanging around with law enforcement now, that's what they.
That's just
say.
Bailey.
And it's very weird, but I kind of like it. So that's, I'd
So-
like to comment on that. Go ahead.
Is he the person that kind of runs the issue, like if there's a safety concern, you are directing everything? That's what the
She's-
safety
she's-
chief does.
The safety director for the school is the point of contact for all the other agencies in the event of an emergency.
And ensuring that all of House Bill 84 requirements are fulfilled, managed, monitored in correlation with the safe schools specialists, Jared Vetter, Mike Estenson, and Jessica Manderfield, and ensuring that there is sort of a dynamic of working with Stoltis and ensuring that we're just communicating more efficiently and
She was confused, who's Stoltz?
It's
It's Josh.
Josh
Stoltz.
Oh, I said Staples.
It's
I
Stoltz.
switched my phone.
Yeah.
Dolphins. And just making sure, I think we were just kind of spread out. We were all attending all of these, because the state had just thrown out a lot of different areas, and a lot of different trainings, a lot of different matrices for recognizing where you're at with your safety, and everybody, we were just so siloed. And I think the principal schools were doing it. It was all of this. And so just kind of consolidating. And so there is some sort of direction and really supporting the specialists as well, and the guardian program as well.
and making sure that all of that communicated to superintendent and we make sure that everything's running effectively. And that we also have sort of an educator and a school voice in that as well, because a lot of it is led by law enforcement, but we also need to recognize that we're educational institution as well. So just, it's going pretty well so far.
Getting that lens. If you want to click on the attachment, that's just some bullet points of areas that we are focusing on this year. I don't know if you have any more you want to go into depth.
We as in who,
Grand County.
the district,
Yes.
not like clinical safety, not like when you're,
Clinical safety is the venue where we're focusing.
okay.
Just, ensuring that, yes, the physical security, which House Bill 84 has really thrown a lot of money at, right? And we're still trying to kind of muddle through that, but there's a lot of other areas that are preventative models and educational models and their interagency models, and not just, if we put up holistic film on our windows, there's still a lot of other things that we need to do to identify issues early, make sure that we have anonymous reporting systems. That's probably one of the most important aspects that has preventative ways. We don't want to have a crisis. We should be prepared for a crisis and have reunification plans, and just making sure that when we're sitting in a room of interagency, community, first responders, we're all talking equally. It's not one job to do. You do security. They should also be knowledgeable in our reporting systems and vice versa. We need to know exactly what would happen if there was an emergency response plan, what is law enforcement, and just making sure that we're doing that. So those are the most pertinent aspects of school safety, and you can see that they're holistic. And so we'll take clinical safety in that route more so. Really ensuring that our emergency plans are up to date, strengthening them. We have a pretty good solid one, but we need to strengthen them. And just have a place where we can identify gaps in communications or practices. Yeah, it's going well.
What's school climate?
So I was actually going to touch on that just
Yeah.
briefly. While a lot of this is in response, we also, as a team, an admin team, want to be very proactive, and that's that school climate. What can we do to be proactive? I've made the comment, if they put as much money into being proactive as they did into House Bill 84, I think we would get a greater return. That's not necessarily a popular opinion. That being said, focusing on that climate, focusing on inclusion.
Positive behavioral
Yeah.
intervention systems, ensuring that students feel safe and welcomed and doing, it aligns greatly with HRS level 1, right? And ensuring that when we do post these surveys and students say overwhelmingly, this doesn't feel this way, that we make response to it, because we know that if it feels hostile to students, we make unsafe, and then students can potentially make unsafe decisions for us all. And just making sure if we're going to glean that information, we have action responses to it rather than just data mining. Also from the parents as well. They answered very similar questions about that. Do we feel like we're communicating? Do we know, for instance, the standard response protocol of like, what is a secure, what is an evacuation? When people have knowledge and information and education, they feel safer, right? And so that's a common thing. So every parent, we have to keep with our parent education, communication that way, so that they feel as though they don't have to run to the spot and then suddenly we have more parents if there were a crisis. They should be able to go, I know what that means. Everything is okay. I have trusting relationships. So community as well. So these are all kind of climate aspects, and most of them are education pieces, communication pieces with community and parents.
And we have clinical safety on Thursday.
Tomorrow.
We'll be talking and focusing on a lot of this.
I have a question, Libby.
Yeah.
To go back to law enforcement, how do you feel that's going with your interactions with law enforcement and their, I want to say, an understanding where the educators are coming from and the needs of our kids in schools and all of that? Like, how are your interactions going? Are they being receptive and I don't know, any positive feedback?
Yeah,
negative
absolutely. Yeah, so
General,
we have a new SRO,
Right.
Jordan Roblier. We also have Joshua Spelfus as our new security for the county. We did comprehensive threat assessment training, CSAC, which is not a crisis response, it's a prevention response, right? And how do we build intervention plans for students who make threats? We don't want those threats to happen. In fact, the threat is a good thing, right? It gives us time to respond to it when there's something that happens. Both of those gentlemen were, I didn't really know them, and yes, they are law enforcement. I suppose I have these biases of like, oh, they want to really focus on crisis and what you do to come in. And they were both very attentive, asked really great questions, saw themselves as co-educators, right? And part of our learning community with a different expertise to bring to what we're doing. But I was like genuinely impressed yesterday for almost 7 hours. I was with them. So I can speak that like with true authenticity, that we had a lot of great conversations about and thoughtful conversations about how do we not build up the walls so much in the security aspect that students walk in and feel like they're entering, the penitentiary, right? And then that does nothing for climate because then they're seeing that like don't believe great things about us or this is unsafe. And then one of their big messages of their visibility in the school, the relationships with families, their relationships with students, so that they don't scare kids and we can normalize that, yes, these are people in our building. These are not necessarily armed people in our building. So yeah, I feel really good, particularly about that very concentrated amount of time. And previously, I think when we had CSAC training in a couple of years ago, we did have a lot of law enforcement that were there and actually walked out from Harvard, not so much a grad, but just because that wasn't necessarily what they were interested in the prevention model. And it's great to see law enforcement in more of a symbiotic. We have to learn about each other's areas of expertise. And I feel really confident.
That's exactly what I was.
Yeah.
I just echo that. It was a very good training, a strong training.
That was there as well.
That Libby put on, and we did have some very good conversations. So, and that's our goal with both of the new law enforcement officers that we're partnering with, is to put our best foot forward and build that relationship so that it can be trusted. Jim,
How often is the Green County Sheriff's officer there versus the school resource officer, like in the buildings? Not as much.
not as much. No.
Yeah.
I can speak to HMK only. The sheriff's office is representative is there every single morning upon. So when we're seeing the most traffic of
All right.
when we don't know kids are inside,
Yeah.
they're there every single morning.
Is it Joshua or
Anyway.
county and sheriff?
It's Kurt.
Kurt.
And there's another gentleman I don't know, but Kurt or someone is there, especially during, statistically significant times where we might see not necessarily like a bad guy situation, but just
Are they at the other schools?
Yeah, that's what my next question is. How high school and middle school, like what's?
Roblier is, I always get his name wrong when she laughs at, Sheriff,
No.
no.
I think that's actually purposeful. Road liaison, the high school, middle school campus, and the sheriff's office goes to the campus. I think they do it on purpose.
I would agree, so like,
Okay.
not, it's like,
Cause
Good.
sheriff's office.
I don't like, I see Roblier at drop off. I see Kurt there.
At
Oh,
HMK.
Yeah,
Right,
HMK drop
right.
off.
But we're talking maybe
But
if they're.
he'll show up a little later, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing more city officers and sheriff's officers than we have. They
Yeah.
really kind of normalize like riding their pool bikes through the parking lot. I think we're seeing a lot of just not necessarily specific people a
Right.
lot, but just
more
they just pulled
presence.
through and said, hey, everybody, and just really making sure.
But in the
that-
middle and high school, is that happening as well? 'Cause I would think that,
Let's see.
I mean, just presence, whether it's city, sheriff, somebody just around, like smiling and,
Yes, definitely
that.
Roblier. I mean, Roblier
he's-
teaches a class
Yeah.
at the high school, so we have a lot of classes. Maybe we take him too much.
maybe more so than us, yes. I maybe see him 3 times a week or more. So, him, yes, but I would agree that they probably have a system where they're more at HMK or so than since he's up here because they're out of class at the high school and stuff.
is there a reason why that I'm missing? Why are they at HMK more? I'm just curious. Is there something I don't
That
know?
would be a great question for us to ask your clinical.
I think it's fantastic, but
Yeah.
why? I was just wondering why. There's something that I don't know.
I can go there. No, go take her off in the morning. I think that would be a question of just making sure tomorrow when we speak to them
Yeah.
from the sheriffs, Yeah, I'm happy to add that.
Yeah,
We haven't touched on whether you can add, I believe both the county and the city are doing, sweeps of our buildings quite frequently at night, just
Every night.
making sure door checks.
External, internal.
both at all,
External.
at all three schools.
Yes.
So
And the tech center.
And they did a dog
drug,
dog sweep the other day too. Is that on this kind of thing?
I think we did, it wasn't a sweep in the sense of like, it was just like, hey, here's a dog, right?
just kind of.
Probably
Two.
probably language.
There
I
could
think.
be a dog and a city or a county building stuff.
Is that requested by us?
No, they come and collaborate and say, these are the days when we're gonna have the dogs here, or we wanna do a training. And then we say, this date would work better, or this time would work better. But it's not on, we can request it. The interesting thing is that what Jameson taught me this time, last year when we had the dogs a couple of times, we thought we'd get a bunch of hits on marijuana vapes. And basically, they're not training the dogs to hit on marijuana anymore because it's legal in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
And so if they bust people with other drugs and they have a marijuana thing, the county prosecutors are not prosecuting these. So the dogs just don't hit on that. So what they do is they bring their own special drugs and then hide them somewhere, and they see if the dog hits on the actual drugs that they're looking for. But I think, the whole thing kind of puts the kids in a little bit of a panic, like there are dogs here. We should be more careful. We have less vape detectors going off during that time, for a couple of weeks now. It's a good exercise.
And the elementary level is, sorry, this is also Holly. She just wants to reiterate that the invitation, and they reached out to us, was just to have a positive presence with law enforcement. And the kids just wanted to meet the K-9. Zora.
Sure.
Yeah.
Zora
popped around. Yeah,
The other thing that they've done for us recently is, made sure that our zero eyes system work. And I'm being a little bit facetious. It does work.
That's the,
It detects a handgun, and we had a police officer pull a gun in the school at 2:00 in the morning, and I got the phone call that it was going on. To verify it, there's actually a second incident outside of HMK in the parking lot where a weapon was brandished. Nothing, not a safety issue, but it was just brandished, and the camera picked it up and called me again. That was about 1 a.m. So zero eyes is working.
That's good to know.
You get it? No,
So
principals don't get that, right?
we're going in a positive direction
We are.
with school safety.
I don't know about you.
It's in good hands with the school safety director.
Going back to just their schedule, I think I remember, the SRO before was like, they don't give schedules because if the kids know their schedule, or, so they're very like,
right,
we're here over here, like all the time. So
yeah.
the schedule isn't ever real. They might know their schedule, but they don't want to publicize, that they're here.
Of course. I just wanted to make sure that all the schools are being visited. I mean, I was just wondering, that everyone's being.
Always seem to run in, whenever I visit a school, I think I run into the SRO every single time, and I'm not in the middle school anymore, but.
If you're worried if we feel supported or not, I feel very
Yeah.
supported by our SRO,
Okay.
by our
Always running.
sheriffs and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I've had questions, evidence support, they've been right there helping us out.
Great.
At least the middle school, I can't speak for the other schools, but.
Awesome.
Okay, any other questions about the safety update? Okay. K-9 Zora.
I would love to meet K-9 Zora. I'll just have to.
I believe
Next time I do a drug sweep.
I have seen yesterday. I think she's sweet.
I thought you
She,
should.
the dog they
That's just
brought her in for sweep.
Yeah,
Is she what is she? Is she a German Shepherd or a Belgian? German Shepherd.
we do want to do an executive session. Are you still
Just the,
second part?
yes.
Okay. And so let's take a quick recess and I'll accept a motion to recess.
Okay, motion.
Was that? Sorry, can I see you?
Fast.
Kathleen, take the motion, Lori Green, second, to recess. All of those in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'm still gonna recess.
No, just recess, not, all right, we'll recess at 5:14.
No, I genuinely, like, I suggested it multiple times. Thank you. Listening to
I
them.
hope you guys enjoy these meetings as much as I, what I look for.
Every time.
Nice to meet you.
These are the less formal ones, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
And it's not as long usually.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I know, we get to do homework, we're done. No, there's nobody here but us.
I know, yeah.